Today, I have compiled a little poster of multiple different types of seed pods. We've got one angle for a lotus pod. I believe this is an Australian umbrella tree. This is a milkweed seed pod. Load another view of the lotus seed pod. Hykeia laurina nut seed pod, I might be mispronouncing that. Magnolia seed pod and Kurrajong's seed pod. I also might be mispronouncing that. I have this thing for seed pods, and much like our leaves poster, the poster of leaves that we did in the fall, I thought it would be really fun to do seed pods. This is going to be a very detailed and probably rather long video, but it will be fun. So if you want to play around with different colors and just have a little fun with these seed pods, I'm going to take a lot of liberties with the color, I believe. So just lean into it, have some fun. We're not going for ultra realistic here. We just want to have a good time. So let's do this. I have already traced out my seed pods. I will write in what they are probably after I have painted them. I want to start with the lotus seed pods, and I want to do these in a little bit of a green gray. I'm thinking a little Payne's gray mixed with some maybe green and yellow ochre. So again, I'm going to be taking some liberties with the colors here for the sake of fun. I'm using my round 6 and I'm grabbing my Payne's gray. I want to mix this color to start. So I've got this Payne's gray. Mixing, I've got this green here. Don't remember the name of this green. I want to mix that in, and I'm going to pick up a little yellow ochre. Yeah. I'll put a little more of the yellow ochre in. Yeah, I like that color. Okay, that's good. So I want to really get all of this. I'm going to just go ahead and cover the whole thing, and I want to bring in some more drops of the yellow ochre that's not really mixed per se. And that yellow is down here as well. I'm going to just go ahead and bring that in. I also see that yellow in here. And right here. There's a lot of nuance to the color on these pods, and I want to see if I can bring that out. If you remember the old Frog and Toad books, I kind of feel like that type of illustration, that color palette, is almost what this particular seed pod needs. There we go. Okay, I'm gonna let that dry. Now I want to work over here, and I want to start with a light burnt umber. Or raw umber, excuse me. It's not burnt umber. I want to do raw umber here. And I want it to be very light, which means that I'm picking up a lot of water, which will water down the pigment. So really light here. And I'm going to do all of this in that light color. It will dry a little lighter than what I'm putting down, so it is important to kind of keep that in mind. In this one, the milkweed, there is a lot of white. So I do want to be careful to not get the places that should be lighter or white in here, but I do want to fill it with some raw umber once again. I'm going to come back to this guy. I'm going to grab my yellow ochre, add some water, and I want to get that in here. I'm gonna let that dry. This color that I've been using, I can use it for the inside of this little seed pod here. And in here. I can also bring it here. Okay, now I'm going to take this same color and I'm going to put it on the inside of this little pod here because I see that color here. And I see it over here. And here. And in there. Let's grab a little more of my yellow ochre. I'm gonna add more water. And I'm gonna bring it over here. Okay, let's come back up here. I believe this is close enough to dry. I want to grab more Payne's Gray. I'd like to come down here and begin to paint these with, the ones down here are a little bit purplish blue and these are a little bit more Payne's Gray blue. I want to see what I get if I mix the Payne's Gray with the Indian Theron blue. Yeah, that's more of what I'm looking for. So Indian Theron plus Payne's Gray. It's really giving me the blue that I want. Now I'm mixing, or I'm going to my violet. I'm adding in the violet. I want a blue violet. I'm going to take a little red and mix it with a touch of crimson and bring it over here. I want to come back to up here and take a look at the colors I'm seeing. So it's important to take a look at the reference photo. I'm curious, what do you see? So I've got the light yellow down as my background here, but I can't decide exactly what I want these colors to be. It's funny, I think I see a little, like a burnt sienna. The some red in here. But I don't see that everywhere. I might see a little of that in this space right here. I'm trying to see where I see that exactly. It's in there. And I think I see that in here, like this. Maybe in this a bit I see it too, so I'm just gonna bring that in. Need a little more water back there. And kind of over here. Now shadow's gonna kind of cover that up, but that's okay. Put that down now. And in there. Okay, giving that a little bit of depth. All right. I think I'm gonna water this up a bit and just give a little bit of red over here, like this. Okay. All right, let's see what's next. I think a little green. What am I doing? Why am I getting green? I want green. I want a dirty green. Adding Payne's Gray. I'm really just kind of mixing this up. And I think I want it more Payne's Gray than green. And I'm gonna add a touch of black. And I see this color over here, so. And I'm gonna take this yellow ochre and bring it here. I'm gonna do the same thing right here. There we go. I like how that is kind of turning out. And I mixed the yellow ochre with this green, and I want to just kind of bring spots in here. I'm gonna take this green while I have it and add some, I guess, olive, and bring it in over here. There's these little spots where I see the green in the magnolia, and I'm gonna take a little bit of that green and I'm mixing it over here. And okay, that's starting to look good. Taking this blue-green mixture here, and I'm going to get all up in here, moving around these holes. And then I'm gonna bring in more blue into that green for this guy here. Bringing more detail into this guy. I can't quite figure out what color I'm working with here. It's not black per se, but it might be a deep black and brown together. So I'm gonna mix my brown and my black and see what I get. This is my Van Dyke brown. And with this rich color here, It will be all of these little details that help us really kind of give form and definition to a lot of the pieces of the seed pod. There is a shadow right here. I'm going to use this color. This brown, Van Dyke brown plus black is a really great color for these little holes that I see. I'm gonna add Payne's gray for these holes over here. So for example, like this. Right, there is a color I'm not quite sure how to achieve. Let's talk about it. It's over here. If we're looking at the reference photo, you can see this seed here. It's cream, a bit cream, but it's not yellow. And I'm not sure how to achieve that, but I'm gonna play with it. So I don't think I'll quite get what's here, but I'll see what I can come up with. I'll start with my yellow ochre. And I'm gonna add a lot of, I need to give it some pigment. So I'm gonna just add a lot of water and fill it in. Let's come over here. There's some reddish colors that I want to capture. And it's almost like my burnt sienna, but with that red. And it starts off light. Okay, we're getting there. These are starting to look pretty good. Let's bring some red, pinkish red into our, this is interesting. It's like a pink, probably a little yellow. It's like red, yellow mixture. Let's see if I can capture it. It's almost too orange. It's more red. But I want to get this capture of the pink first. There is some pink going on. And I can kind of get a little of that down. Taking my burnt sienna once again. And burnt umber is really what I want. And go into some of these darker spots. It's always all the little details that make the biggest difference. I want to grab some more Payne's gray, kind of pull that into some of these spots over here. It's actually probably more this color. I'm gonna bring some of that up. I just lifted that up. And once again, I'm kind of bringing this in. Kind of, I see this over here. We haven't touched these in a little while, and there's so much fun stuff we can do over here. Picking up my Payne's gray. I'm mixing the Payne's gray and the violet that's kind of left on my palette here. And I want to just dive in. So I see a shadow here that it needs. And shadows are just so great. They make everything. And I have this just light amount of blue that I'm gonna pick up and just put on some spots. And then I'm gonna pick up that pink color that I was trying to achieve. Let's come back to over here. I need that Payne's gray color. There's a little of that in here. Yellow ochre. And I'm going darker here. So much of this is gonna need shadowing. Let's see how much I can do. It's always all about the detail. How much more detail can you add to make it interesting? So there's a lot of shadow that could happen over here. This guy's got a nice amount here and shadowing it up over here. It's this orange mud right here. Yeah, there we go. There's always endless amounts of detail we can put in. So let's go over here and pick up some orange. And I mixed it a little bit. I want to get these little berries. They're kind of in here too. And then there's like this dirty, gross orange that's happening like in here. I'm gonna take this dirty orange and I'm gonna darken it up a little bit, and I'm gonna bring that in some of these places here and add more definition. Let's work on this one a little bit more. I want more brown in there. I'm gonna pull out my Van Dyke brown. And we're just gonna get these rich brown colors in here. All right, so I just gave that a little bit more detail. This is not maybe the best thing I've ever done, but it will do. I mean, we could work on it for hours, but I don't know that that's why you're here. You could work on this for hours at home, of course, if you want to, but we're really just want to have a little fun, and I think I'm about done with this guy. So I'm going to be done with that guy. I think I'm going to be done with this guy. I might give it a little bit more brown. So in this spot over here, I just kind of fuzzed that up a little bit. And giving it just slightly more detail in here. I think these guys are done. I think this one's done. I could maybe give it a little green. So it's the olive green that I'm looking at. So I could just kind of like, there we go. So I just gave it almost like a little shadow on that side and a little shadow over here. That's looking good. I like the way that's looking. Now over here, this guy needs more detail. So let's get really intentional about the detail and the shadowing that we're bringing in. I definitely see right here, there's an opportunity for shadow. And there is a dark green right here that I can really muss up. So this right here, it's going to set that back by making it darker. I'm going to make this darker and more defined in here and in here. And I keep trying to get this spot darker. We're just going to go really dark. Sometimes you just have to go really dark in certain areas. And I'm going to give that over here. And this guy. See how just sometimes just a little bit, a lot bit can really do a lot. So there's just a little, there's a little line right here. I'm going to bring that in. Okay, voila, I believe that we are done with our seed pods. The only last thing that I would do, actually, I want to do a little bit more in here. You know, when push comes to shove, I just can't resist the detail. The devil is in the detail. There's probably more I can do over here. Okay, there we go. Now I'm really gonna leave that alone. So, et voila, I believe we are done for the time being. I will go ahead and take my micron pen and write the names in.